one thing I think a lot of businesses, especially small businesses, mom and pop businesses, they don't really realize the power and the strength that their story actually has. How do you how do you help them understand the power of their story?
Yeah, David, I think this is a critical. So just to backtrack, my latest book is called Magnetic Stories: How to Connect with Customers, Engage Employees Through Brand Storytelling. And the reason I wrote that book is there was so many people I came across, and it was a lot of small business owners that didn't understand the power of their own personal story. And to give you one quick example, I was at a function. I was the keynote speaker. I was speaking to someone afterwards, and it was, I was asking this woman what she did, and she ran a whole heap of childcare centres. And I went, oh wow, how did you get into that? And she said, well, I used to be a dentist. And I went, well, there's a change. And she told me the story that her and her husband had tried to, get pregnant for a decade, and they finally got pregnant. And when she was going back to work, she was looking for a childcare centre to put her son in. I think her son was called James. And she said every childcare centre she went into, she thought James wouldn't love this. He wouldn't love it. And so she said, I just decided to buy one and create a childcare centre that James would love. And she said, every time we make a decision about,
Hold on, she bought a child care center.
yeah, and now she has a whole chain of them. And she said, every decision that's made in the business is based around, would James love this? And I looked at her and I said, please tell me that story's on your website. And she went, oh no, we just use it internally. Like no one would be interested in that. And I just said, if I was looking for a childcare center for my child, I would read that story and I would just go, book me in. And I came across so many examples of that where people, and I'm going, why are you not sharing that story? And there's a whole lot of reasons why they don't. It's sort of, and I think some of them think they need.
Can you give a couple of the reasons why people don't?
Yeah. So I think a couple of small business people think they need to appear bigger than what they are. They want to compete with the really, really big companies. So they they might start sharing that story, but once they get to the point where, oh, we got to grow and it's got to be bigger as me as the founder, they stop sharing it. And it's almost like, and I go, no, don't stop sharing it, because that's the absolute gold. That's the power. I had another example of a guy. He'd started a wine company, and he started the wine company after, this was about 10 or 15 years ago, when they went through massive bushfires in Victoria, and he lost all his property. And from the funding he got, he started this wine company. So he donates 50% of all the profits to all these charities. And his company's growing. And he said to me, I stopped telling my story because I thought it needs to be not about me now. It needs to be about all the great work he was doing with the charities. And then he got investors. So investors came in, and it was the investors. And in his words, he said, the investors know a hell of a lot more about growth and marketing than I do. And they said, you need to keep telling your story, because that's so you can still tell other stories, but you don't stop telling the story about how the company founded.